What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gamers for Life podcast, where each and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, discussing all things games. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrell. With me is my man, Arthur Thomas. What is happening, dude?
I identify as pride and joy, but doing great.
That's your pronoun?
Yeah, pride/joy. But doing good. A lot of life updates. Let's talk to you guys off the pod, but a lot of mood on up and potentially, things getting better out here in the new life, new time zone. It's going good. Going good.
Glad to hear that. And also next to me here is my man Church.
What up?
Master Chief himself. What's happening, man?
Man, I've been on a journey with Breath of the Wild. So everything's good on my end. The game of the year came out, so I have nothing to complain about, except, well, we'll wait until later into the show.
Of course, it wouldn't be Gamers for Life if we did have things to talk about, the real talk, if you will. So don't you wait or don't you go away. As far as for those listening or watching us, be sure to first and foremost like and subscribe here on the channel. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. That is also where Arthur manages the Twitch stream for any games that he's deciding to play with, say with Church, with one of us, or just some friends. So be sure to do that. And if you want to listen to the episodes, we have much more, obviously, on the podcast application of your choice if you prefer to stream via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, what have you. And all things Gamers for Life, you can still go to linktree.com/Gamers for Life, the one-stop link for all things Gamers for Life. And here at the podcast, we decided we read the news while you can watch or listen to what you choose by clicking on the link to the time code within the description of the episode, so you can go to what specific segment that you want, or you can just hang out with us here at the Gamers for Life podcast. And we got a decent amount of stuff to discuss. But first, Church, you son of a bitch, you got 35 points for Tears of the Kingdom on your fantasy card.
I'll take the hate. Let it loose.
You definitely, the last minute stretch, you definitely are leading the ranks here on the fantasy card. And Legend of Zelda, it's definitely the Tears of the Kingdom, one of the top selling Zeldas, if not the top selling. I want to say it's around the corner, definitely 10 million in sales within the first 3 days, I think, which is pretty insane. But nonetheless, man, tell me your experience about Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Is it everything that you hoped it would be and more? Give us your impressions.
Man, before I get into it, it's called strategy, Joe. But when I picked Zelda, it was long shot, right?
It's called choosing it first.
It was iffy. Yeah, it was iffy.
Yeah,
We didn't know what was going to happen.
What was your secret to picking this game? Well, you see, I went first.
Yeah, I think it was automated. And he went first. I was like, God damn it, he's gonna choose Tears of the Kingdom.
I'll just put this.
I don't even think it was my first pick. I think it was my second pick.
Oh wow!
Dude, I was next in our draft card pick. I'm not the biggest Nintendo guy, mainly because I don't own one. But dude, that was my number one pick. So I'm like, so again, it's like strategy. It's called going first, my dude. Like
that is a strategy. Honestly, that is.
And by strategy, I forget how we decided it. Luck of the draw. Call it charity. I want my money back. No.
No, I'm happy, man. However we set it up, it was perfect, bro. That dude, yeah, so many points with that game. So I guess I want to get into the game. My initial impressions right off the cuff, I love it. I've been waiting for this game for a very long time, and it finally came out. So the biggest concern going into it, was it going to be like a $70 DLC? Like, what were they going to do to kind of like justify that price? I can only say, I don't know how much we're going to get into spoilers. I'm not going to get into the story content. But when you play the game, it's actually kind of overwhelmingly massive, like how much stuff there is to do. And my prediction actually turned out to be right. Like Breath of the Wild just seems like a concept of a game, even though that was one of the best games that people have raved in terms of ratings on the internet. Tears of the Kingdom is just fully fleshed out. Like every corner is filled with something to do, and that exploration is turned to like a 20 on the dial now. What makes the game feel fresh is the physics engine is still the same, but they have these special abilities that allowed you to interact with the environment. They got rid of those abilities and added new ones, which fundamentally changed the way you approach combat, exploration, and overall, it just enhances your ability to get your creative ability. Like getting from point A to point B has numerous ways to navigate. I don't know if you guys seen the internet with the creative designs going crazy. It's really cool with this ability that you have the ability to fuse, to put objects together, create machines, create cars, to create planes. It changes everything. It's just a lot of fun. And then when you can fuse stuff in combat, it keeps it fresh. It kind of, for me, overhauled the inventory system where I'm beating bad guys, collecting, the raw material. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I can trade it in for like a certain costume, but at some point, it's just in my inventory. Now, the horns, the hoofs, basically become weapon additions to swords or spears that I have on my character. It just makes use of stuff that's already there in your inventory. And it's kind of limitless because you kill a creature, you pick up its remains. It's like, yo, what special function does this have? Like, I can kill a fire creature, and its body parts turns my fire arrow. It turns an arrow into a fire arrow, or ice, or electricity. So it's really fun. I don't know how this game runs. It's like a solid 30 FPS. I love my 60. I love my 120. It was one of my gripes going to Redfall. But with Zelda, it just kind of runs. And you can like go to the highest sky island in the game, right? And then fall all the way down to the ground. And it doesn't load. It doesn't lag. Like, matter of fact, this is kind of a spoiled territory, but like there is caves, there is dungeons, there is a subterranean level of this entire map that's as big as the entire map. There's an entire underground section that you have to explore that's completely shrouded in darkness, and you actually have to get these items to light your way through the darkness so you can see your progress. And it stays there. Like you put something on your arrow, you shoot it in the distance, it sticks to a wall, it creates a lantern. And when you come back to that location, it's still there. So any input that you do, it just constantly is there. And they have this ability where you can rewind objects. Like the game is constantly tracking every object that can be rewind as you're playing. Like when I'm fighting an enemy and they throw a weapon at me, I could just stop time and shoot it back. Like I don't know how it's running on the tablet. And they have this OP ability, what's called is like Ascension. It's just the ability from, if you're in the cave, the Link looks up and he's able to traverse through the ground to the top of whatever the object. It's a way to get out of the cave like an ASAP. And it loads pretty quickly, and you can do it anytime you want to.
So like escape rope in Pokemon?
Exactly, yeah. You can do it anytime you want to, and it works flawless. The game doesn't chug. There's no bugs. There's no glitches. Like, it's a mechanic that you would think would just break the game anytime you can. And it's just good. But in every sense of the word, it is Breath of the Wild 2. If you didn't like the first game, this game is more of the same. And what I mean in terms of, it's the same physics engine. It's kind of the same approach to combat. They didn't refresh that, which is fine. I still think it's the best combat in Zelda history. But if you're more into like a From Software type of combat, you may be wanting more, right? It still has the hot and cold system in the games. You have to cook your food. They just kind of improved on how you explored, how you interact with the environment, and gave you new things to do. Is it just the same areas that you're exploring? No. For some reason, the land looks completely different. Even though it's the same map, it still feels fresh. There's like, it's growing with people. If Breath of the Wild was a kind of post-apocalyptic this is the recovery stage where now people know who Link is, and you have these townspeople to interact with. You're expanding, and plus you got this looming threat of the big bad in the game. It's phenomenal. There's little things that I miss that I've noticed in this games when it comes to open world. They do have like a tower system like Ubisoft, but how to get there is so much fun. And when you get there, it's so rewarding because it introduces you to new things to do. What else? I don't like if the game is raining, like the characters go hide under cover in the rain because it's rain. And then when you talk to them, they're like, yo, man, what are you doing out here? Let alone when it's raining. Like the weather plays a part of the dialogue when they talk to you. Like the fires go out in the town as well. So it's just little environmental stuff that makes the open world much more interactive as opposed to just a pretty canvas. And that makes the game a lot more enriching for me. So it's phenomenal. I don't see how any other game is going to beat this year. And not even being biased when it comes to Zelda. Like it just does too much. Like I don't see anything touching it, man. Nice. Like it's a good game.
Now let me ask you really quick. For someone who hasn't played Breath of the Wild 1 and they buy Tears of the Kingdom, is it one of those things? Is it one of those games where like it's highly recommended for you to play the second one or the first one in order to get acquainted with Tears of the Kingdom, or can someone just buy Tears of the Kingdom, they haven't played Breath of the Wild, and still get the same experience?
I would say you can go straight to Tears of the Kingdom. It is a sequel. It continues the story, but the Breath of the Wild, the way they deliver the story is through flashbacks. You go to certain locations, right, and they give you a flashback memory. But the story of Breath of the Wild is you wake up from 100 years, go kill Ganon. Now it's just a continuation of like what's after Ganon, but it's more narratively focused in this game. When you start the game with a story beat, which is, antithetical. It's the opposite of Breath of the Wild. They care more about the story in this game and the inferences of character relationships. So you can talk to characters. They do a good job of reintroducing how you know them. And they talk about what happens in the first game to bring you up to speed. There's no deep lore that you really need to know. I would just like any other Zelda game you would go into, but it would enhance the experience because some of the characters from the first game return and they're like happy to see you, and you can see the growth from the first game to the second game, so it amplifies it. But you're not lost when you start this game at all. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Have you made a skateboard? That's all I care about.
Dude, they do have a skateboard, man. I've seen this guy.
People making bomber planes, dude.
Yes, I saw the bomber plane. I wonder if I dropped that in the chat with you guys. Yeah, the bomber plane was crazy. I was like, you can't believe you could do this. I created a gun in the game just to like shoot enemies. It's a lot of fun. It feels like the environment itself is a puzzle. I'm a big fan of puzzles. It's cool, man. It's really cool. It's hard to give away. It is so big, bro. Like there's like a whole underground section in the game, and then on top of that, now you can dive from the sky all the way down to the place called the depths, which is the underground section, like these chasms. You can do that seamlessly in the game. There's no loading. And then on the regular level, there's caves, right? So there's like the depths, and then within that, there's caves. I think last night I got to a section where I was with a group of people at a village, and there was a hole in the wall. And they're like, dang, this hole in the wall like happened. So I went into the hole in the wall. I got lost for 4 hours because it was so expansive. Like I kept like breaking down rocks. It kept the cave kept expanding. There was new enemies, new gear I was unlocking. And the gear it's so rewarding when you find it because it's not crazy about stats, but it has some abilities. Some gear is for like, hey, you can climb in the rain when you can climb in the rain now and don't slip down. So it's meaningful rewards as opposed to just filler. Yeah.
Dude, that reminds me, when you were saying that, that reminds me of that section in Skyrim. When you just like, remember that? You go to Skyrim, you find this random dwarven lighthouse, that like tower thing, and you go in there, and all of a sudden you're still in this cave. You're still in the cave, and you're like, oh, the dwarves had a whole continent under this other continent. I forget what it's called. Victor plays ESO a lot. He can like quote you Elder Scrolls lore. I forget what it's called, but yeah, there was that one cave in Skyrim where you just keep going there, and you're like, hey, has anyone been in this cave for like 2 weeks, real time? Like, I can't get out.
Yeah, they know what you're talking about. I was like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
you're just like, man, these
yeah.
pretty glow in the dark underwater plants. Sorry, like not underwater, but like, subterranean plants. You're like, hey guys, it's been 2 weeks. I missed the sun. Like, how do I get out of here? From what I've seen,
and
man,
with Zelda, you have that ascension ability. You can get out anytime you want.
Nice.
I know it's heresy, but I've never played Skyrim, but I've heard that comparison where I guess Skyrim has this entire underground section of the game that's like the whole map. Is that accurate?
Like an entire so Skyrim is like this like area of the world, and like that area is like a whole other like continent under this map. Like continent. It's massive.
And that's exactly what Zelda is. If you look at the map of Zelda, it's the entire thing, and you can explore. It's insane. It's crazy. So, is it worth the $70? Hell yes. Hell yeah, bro.
I was about to say that. I was about to say, so $70, it's worth it when the game works, right?
Right. I've heard nothing but good things about this game, and the one thing I like about this game too, I gotta give Nintendo credit where it's due. This game feels like, from like just watching and hearing people talk about it, it looks like it was made with heart and for fun. Like, it was never marketed to be like, I want to say a blockbuster, because now in the modern days, when I hear blockbuster, I think like paycheck or transactions or ka-ching. This just feels like a true fun game for the players, for the fans. If I had more time, who knows? I mean, I don't know, like I said, I got a lot of my stuff, thankfully, in my life improving. If I get more time on my hands, I might invest in a Switch, or, for a Black Friday present, happy birthday to me. But because that's what Skyrim was to me. For me, like, that's for a lot of people. Skyrim was just this massive open world game to have fun, do what you like. And again, like with the Zelda building thing, I can't speak to what was taken out in terms of abilities, but this building thing is like borderline, not on the grounds of Minecraft, but it feels like it from all these contraptions people are building. I mean, I was watching a streamer day one, and we were just chanting like, oh, unga booga, because the every time, because we were just kept encouraging to just fuse sticks with rocks. What's my weapon going to be? You pick up that weapon, you're going to take that stick and you're going to fuse it with a rock. That's your weapon. And the streamer was going along with it, so it was really funny. But like, give it a couple days now, like, a week plus, feels like, a week since the game has been out. And like I say, people are just rocking like B-52 flying fortresses.
Right. And the mechanics,
seeing Transformers and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Right? And I'm not a guy, like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. I'm not like a builder type of guy. I don't think it's the most creative thing to build. This game is the building. It just works the way you think it should work. It just kind of happens. It's easy to pick up, and then I feel like we're all pro gamers, we can figure it out. So once you got the system down, just connecting the pieces, it works how you would imagine it, and then the physics of what you build just works how you imagine it. And that's what's crazy about it, right? Like, no matter what the player could build, the physics just works how you plan it to work in the game, and that's really impressive. Like, on a technical level. Are you listening, Todd
Howard? That's how this works. When you say it works, when you say it just works, you have to back it up.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. No.
Sorry. Just like having PTSD of someone. Just having PTSD of saying it just works. No, it doesn't. No. People were making 3-hour videos listing every single bug in your game, and the physics don't work. And so in church, church is like, out here, it's like, do you know what they sacrificed those 30 frames for? the game working. And not only does it work, it's fun. Like we were talking about the chat, we were talking in our side chat here of people are like, well, why does Zelda get a pass for 30 frames and Redfall doesn't? We played Redfall. Redfall has 2 lines of dialogue, no cutscenes, a small map, the craziest repetition, not rewarding levels. That's why.
Yeah, like there's mad issues with the game beyond the 30 frames, and the Switch is like, and the Switch is not, and the Switch exactly because there's a lot of fucking you YouTube gamer motherfuckers out there. I know y'all, y'all be posting some bullshit, and I get it. That's the game, but y'all are misleading a lot of fucking people. Like, yo, the Switch is not a next gen console. It's not. So if we're to play 30 frames per second, it makes that's fine. No one cares about that as long as the game runs, and obviously it runs beautifully. But I'm about to nail it to you fuckers.
Dude, I mean, like there's like 30 frames or not. There's a reason why Dreadfall has Jarrell at -11 points. And
thank you for reminding me.
I had that like lock and loaded for a while.
Every time I log in, I'm like, did anything come out? Nope, just the 11 points. Negative 11 points.
Negative.
I'm like, yo, who wants to trade me some games,
dude? So again, with the fantasy card, this one game alone, Church rocking like 32 points, and Jarrell, I think it was like down as like negative like 15 the other day.
Yeah, I was thinking like 20.
Because
what are you talking about, guys? Let me log in.
Aldrell, I'm already there.
I don't care. I'm logging in, motherfucker.
Negative 11.
Okay.
We're checking in real time.
Let's see what asshole decided to review it 3 weeks after the game came out.
Whatever you see, it's not going to be positive, bro.
I know, but I'm just saying. Like, fuck you, man. just rate the goddamn game already.
But
I will have my revenge. That's all I have to say about that.
I mean, hey, man, I'm already calling. I'm looking forward to this next year.
I'm bidding on Mortal Kombat. I know I'm skipping ahead, but I'm just side note. We're gonna have a bidding war about that bitch because I gotta fix this shit. Sorry, go ahead, Arthur.
Drill's just gonna plead like -11, any points, man.
We all got $100 to bid. Fucking bid war is gonna happen. So go ahead.
Dude,
I just want to say,
watch like Draft Day like 3 times with Kevin Costner and be like, nah. I'm getting Mortal Kombat.
Jerry Maguire, this shit. No, go ahead, Church.
No, I just want to say, like, the game made me fall in love with the Switch all over again. Because I could be gaming on my television, on my monitor. The wifey just wants to, like, watch something. And I just pick up my Switch and have the exact same experience. And that's when it hits me more, is that I'm sitting on the couch and it's in my hands. I'm like, dang, like, I'm having this entire crazy open world experience just in the palm of my hands. Like, I don't know how this is working. This is insane.
Okay, Octavius.
I mean, hey.
This is the power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
No, that's great, man. I'm glad it's a great game because it's funny. I've always talked to Arthur as far as like, I don't know. Like, there's really nothing that interests me when it comes to a lot of Nintendo stuff. It's like I get for people that do as far as early adopters, but like my early adopting shit was like the Genesis. My Mario was Crash Bandicoot. So it's like I don't resonate with any of these characters. But it seems like with Zelda, it really taps into just like the expansiveness of the world, and then it adds some things that can interest like pretty much everybody. You know what I mean? So like I think that's really impressive. And I was going to respond to what you said, Arthur, earlier back as far as like, it seems like it's more than just like, just like a paycheck blockbuster thing. And for me personally, I'm fine with blockbuster cash grab, but make the game good. You know what I mean? Like Nintendo knew that this was one of their biggest, if not the biggest release game wise this year. Nintendo knew that. They weren't stupid. They gave their Japanese corporation, they gave them like over 10% of a bonus raise. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
No, I didn't.
Like they gave them like mad raises. Obviously, you guys have seen the stories as far as like, oh, you're going to prison if you leak this. You know what I mean?
You're gonna pay us a third of every dollar you own until the day you die.
Like they're not fucking around. They're like, yo, do not fuck with our pockets, son. So it's like, I get it, but as far as like the quality of the game and them really applying their heart into it, even if it is a $70 bump, if you mean, I haven't heard it, this like, for how good this game is, for how many people are saying that it's good, it's nostalgic. You know what I mean? I don't remember the last time someone has said this game is so good. Like, maybe since Elden Ring. Like,
I think Elden Ring was the last experience.
Well, you're kind of right, but I would say, like, I get what, Drill, you really nailed it there. It's like nostalgic to have not a Breath of the Wild, but a breath of fresh air. I mean, it really is, like, just because, I mean, it really is to have, like, because the reason I say the tone or the feeling, as the kids would say, the vibes of this game different from Elden Ring. Elden Ring is actiony, fast paced. This really is almost like, for us now, Church, I know you got, Church, you're involved in both games because you played the heck out of Elden Ring, but I'm just saying this feels like the Elden Ring of Nintendo, because what's Nintendo known for? Animal Crossing, Pikmin, relaxing games. You can come home after a long day, unwind, and just play for hours. Now, like games like Elden Ring, you can come home, throw your remote through a wall, and be happy you finally beat the boss. So it's just a different. You're right. It has the nostalgia of, again, like, corny Breath of the Wild, but like, like I said, a breath of fresh air in a relaxing sense. As successful as Elden Ring was, again, the tone did feel different because Elden Ring was not known for being easy. I'm not saying this game's easy, but there's From Software and there's Zelda, and again, all the videos I'm seeing are just people like chilling. It like, to a point. I know this game isn't cooperative, but like from the outside looking in, it has that feeling where, like, Nintendo is the king. Nintendo is the king of fun, chill games. You can do nothing for hours and enjoy your game. Whether it's like Stardew Valley, but again, Pokemon, all these other, not really Pokemon's a good example, but those little games on Nintendo that just relax. Harvest Moon, you know what I mean? Just games of, what'd you do? Nothing. How's the game? It's amazing. Nintendo has been that king for a while. And I know this game isn't cooperative, but Church, it kind of reminds me of like time, you, me and Cheyenne in Sea of Thieves just hitting a barrel for like 2 hours and just talked about life. And it's like, how's Sea of Thieves? It's fun. Sitting in a barrel, talking with your friends. It's like on the sunset at the beach. It's awesome. And that's why I'd like something for like Drell, like the nostalgia sense, that like that relaxing, refreshing aura to it.
And then just the vibes of like everyone really having a great video game experience. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of more so what I feel as far as nostalgia. Like when we all, like, it's almost like when like all of your friends, like you meet them up like at school the next day and everyone's talking about their experiences with the game and everyone is playing the same game. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost that type of nostalgia that I've been seeing online, and it's really nice. You know what I mean? Like with all the bullshit going on in the world, it's really nice that everyone can just like, yeah, this game's awesome.
and not to keep you too much from Church, but like for Skyrim real quick, like Drell, you remember like Skyrim was a single player game, and Church, I don't know like what console you're on, but like for us on Xbox, dude, I remember me and my friends having parties of like 10, 11 people all playing Skyrim, just in the Xbox party, chatting it up. And I remember one time, like a friend of our friend joined the party. He's like, "Oh man, you guys all here? What's up?" He's like, "What game you playing?" We're playing Skyrim. And like, "What? Skyrim's cooperative?" We're like, "No, it's single player." He's like, "Wait, what are you guys doing?" He's like, "We're all just playing Skyrim, talking." He's like, "Wait, really?" We're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, that's awesome. Maybe I should get that game." And like, and that was just, I just have a vivid memory of that conversation, that gaming session of like literally 11 of us in an Xbox party, just all playing Skyrim, a single player game. And every now and again, you'd be like, dragon, and just the fun times.
And I have that with Zelda. I be my friends that have the game too as well. We just be texting each other, like, "Did you discover this? Did you do this?" Or they'll pick up the phone call talking about what they discovered in Breath of the Wild too. It's just, you kind of have that shared experience with the homies again. And it's funny because when I played Elden Ring, I was like, yo, I haven't felt this since Breath of the Wild. And then I played Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, I haven't felt this since, Elden Ring. They just have that experience where no matter how much you explore, it's just rewarding. The moment-to-moment gameplay is just fun. And that's like the Nintendo magic for me. So I know Gerald said he didn't grow up with like the Marios or the Pikmins or whatever. But to me, Nintendo doesn't create a sequel unless it's a new gameplay mechanic. It's the true form of gameplay over story. And I think we see that with all their games. Like Mario Odyssey, they had this concept of a hat and just to throw their hat. And Nintendo's Magics, they will squeeze every fucking idea out of throwing a hat that you can think of and make a game, right? And that's cool. It makes the sequels worth it. And same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. They took the idea of Breath of the Wild, gave the new mechanics, and they squeezed every idea that anybody could possibly have in the game, and it just squeezed it. And that's the magic of the Nintendo quality that I come to expect, that I look forward to. Now they have misses, you know, everybody has misses, but they're consistent, man. So,
and speaking of misses,
Overwatch
2, unfortunately, there was some news about how the PvE mode that we were waiting so just patiently for, unfortunately, they decided to no longer have that available. And I just wanted to tap back in with you guys. I personally haven't played Overwatch 2. I do think it's kind of ironic, the fact that where there's Overwatch 1, and then Overwatch 2, like pretty much like Overwatch 1 turned into Overwatch 2, right? So like Overwatch 1 is no longer a thing because Overwatch 2 is available. And then Overwatch 2 is missing features that people wanted. So it's like I can't even go back if I wanted to. Like I just feel like that's a really shitty thing. But who wants to go first on how they feel?
Let me start off on this real quick. Church, I know you're about to go off real quick. In terms of like our tone, is it just me, or does I feel like we were smelling a steak? I could smell the steak. We're talking about Zelda. We're having a good time, and he takes the steak away and stirs us toilet water. Like we were talking about. We were all reminiscing about how games are fun again. Legend of Zelda's awesome,
and
whether or not I should buy a Switch for Black Friday. That's great.
So I had to give you the smelling salts, baby. I had to
modern gaming.
Modern gaming. Shit.
Like, man, cool. Now that you guys are enjoying your day, Overwatch 2. Great. Yeah. I mean,
a difficult segue.
it's like, man, it's really fun up here. It'd be a shame if I kicked you off and just enjoy the landing. I mean, I'll just say this. We're talking about like, hey, Joel, like when we're talking, Joel's like, hey, I'm gonna let you guys talk about this. You guys had your hands on it. I dipped my pinky into Overwatch 2 and was like, I don't like this. I'm out. I'm good. All the things I liked about Overwatch 1 are gone. I can't play Overwatch 1 now because Overwatch 2 absorbed it. I was a healer. I liked having a significant wall tank in front of me and having good heals. I remember when Zenyatta was a good healer and not a damage character. I remember when Mercy was like rewarding the play instead of having the health of a broken twig. And I'm like, I'm good. And I haven't, so again, in terms of, I had hands on it. I can say with an asterisk. I had a hand on it one time, touched it, didn't like it. I dipped out. The game's been uninstalled for quite some time. I would play it again, but I don't feel like really reinstalling it because it's like how many gigs and it's on xCloud. But that's neither here nor there. Just another reason for me not jumping in the bit to reinstall it. But I haven't played for some bit. Church has been trudging through the mud, playing the game like Halo 2, Captain Stadia, Halo Infinite, and Overwatch 2 over here, man. You're walking through the mud so we can stay clean. What do you think about Overwatch 2 now?
So I want to start off with a drink. Hold on a second. Let me take a sip of these guys.
You're about to be drunk by the end of the episode.
Dude, basically. Second, I owe Arthur an apology. We were playing Overwatch 2, and he saw the writing on the wall. He had his complaints. I was like, bro, give it a chance, blah, blah, blah. So, Arthur, I am sorry. I apologize.
I respect that.
I apologize.
I saw the writing on the wall, and people are like, nah, it'll be fixed. It'll be erased. They'll cover it. I'm like, that's permanent marker, my guy.
Mm-hmm. So, and then how I feel. I think this is the worst experience I think I've had in gaming in terms of being let down.
God damn.
More than Battlefield 2042.
More than Halo? No way.
More than Halo, man. More than Halo.
Whoa.
Halo had a I enjoyed Halo. It was a fun campaign. They just
and this is a free game, and you bought the collector's edition of the Battlefield.
Oh, bro, I know.
You're just the king of reminding people of shitty things,
bro. It is. But
remember, you got -11 points.
Yeah.
Hey, remember?
I'm like, hey, what the fuck?
Joe, remember when I told everyone not to pre-order Battlefield? I'm just saying.
Hey, I was a part of that. I was like, yo, I'm with you. But yeah,
nah, I'd rather EA keep my money than Blizzard to have my money for the stuff I spent in Overwatch 2.
Oh no.
What really bummed me out was the GameSpot article where they said about a year and a half ago they knew they were not going to have PvE in it. So that means that by October 2021, the game came out in 2022 October, they already knew they were drastically changing the vision. The marketing of the game was still PvE, leading up to it. No communication about it being changed or delayed. And that was the sole reason for the 2 in the title, because we're doing the PvE. We're going to upgrade the game with the graphics. The PvP is going to be free, but the box title for the 2 is before the PvE content. So the game comes out, no PvE. They released a roadmap saying we're going to have it in 2023, right? And now we're here today. Found out all that shit's a lie. I have not seen a more blatant scam when it comes to Blizzard. This is a crazy bait and switch. You've used it for marketing. You scammed your player base into being excited for Overwatch 2 to even supporting the game for the Battle Pass to get the PvE. And then knowingly that it was going to drastically change. It's a scam. And you didn't want to say anything because it was going to damage the free-to-play game when it came out. So you wanted to get the most money up front. For the shop is ludicrous in itself, how greedy it is in this game. And it's terrible. So I have uninstalled Overwatch 2. It has lost my faith. I don't think I will go back. I don't even think the PvE is coming out in 2023. It's to the point that the directors and the game developers, I'm not targeting any of the developers. I'm not targeting like the directors, but I am putting blame on everybody. It's to the point where you taking my money. We all have jobs. We're all accountable, but this is a lie. Even if the director told you to move the game in this direction, you're responsible for the lie. You lied to my face. You said everything was going to be there. You're the face that lied. That's it, man. And you're getting paid to lie to me. And that's how I feel about the situation. And I understand situations out of your control, but be like Jeff Kaplan, who actually left in 2021 because the game was changing, because he had some integrity. Don't stay there and continue to lie and take advantage of the community. And then now tell me that we're just de-scoping, what we originally have planned. I can't trust you anymore. I don't know what it's going to be. Nobody cares about this episodic content that you're going to drip feed that more than likely will be behind a $10 battle pass every other season. Like, who fuck cares, man? So I've uninstalled the game. The Overwatch team, as of right now, has none of my money. I don't want to give them shit. I'm very upset about this whole thing. I still play Diablo 4. I'm not off of Blizzard. That's the thing. We've played Diablo 4. We have, right? We know what we're kind of getting already, right? The developers have been very crystal clear. In hindsight, we didn't see much of the PvE from the Overwatch team. Like, even they said it was going to be released in 2023. There was no ramp up of that news, right? It was so shitty, bro. They had like an hour and a half showcase where they hid the message of the de-scoping of the change of the PvE content in a 10-minute block in the middle of an hour and a half, so nobody would notice, type of thing. It's terrible, man. The community is up in an uproar. I think it's shit. It's terrible. I've never seen something that bad. I think it's the worst experience I've had when it's come to gaming. Battlefield 2042, I was like, I was disappointed. Like, yeah, that shit's buggy. It's just not a finished game. But like, it is what I expected to be, though. And it's just not running properly. Overwatch 2, you sold me on a sequel with this content, and then basically a glorified microtransaction update to the game and then took away the new component of the game. I'm like, yo, that's just scummy. Like that is some shady business practices. So that's my initial thoughts, man. Fuck them. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But,
one of us. Oh man, dude, that's like for me. I was like, old man yells at cloud. Turns out, yeah, cloud kind of sucked. Because I know this is
you're so happy, Arthur.
I am.
Fucking Sith Lord.
I know, man. It's like, don't join us, the dark side. It's warm over here.
dude, like this, like talk about like lies. I'm like, man, cool. We're gonna have a new Diablo on a computer or a console. You guys have phones, right?
Right.
And I was just like, Diablo. I mean, like, Diablo Blizzard. I'm just sitting here like, it's like I've been the guy, Charlie at the walls, like, this means this means this means Blizzard sucks, don't trust them. And it's like, nah, man, Overwatch 2. And I'm like, no, man, you don't know. Because for me, another reason why I did not like their launch is PvE was the one thing I was happy for. Like, people are like, yeah, PvE. I'm like, we have Overwatch 1. You want PvE? Go play Overwatch 1. And then they said Overwatch 2 is going to absorb Overwatch 1. So Overwatch 1 will no longer exist. And Church, correct me if I'm wrong, was there a mode that you can play that would be like Overwatch 1? Here's what I mean. Overwatch 1, original Overwatch 1 launches, and picking characters was chaos. You can be whatever you want. You want a team of 6 Genjis, you're going to be 6 Genjis. You want to have 6 tanks, you're going to have 6 tanks. And eventually Overwatch 1 had the limitation of 2 tanks, 2 damage, 2 healers. But there was a mode, I forget what we just called the vanilla mode. Every gamer just called the vanilla mode. But where it's like, hey, you want to play original day 1 Overwatch style, you can through the separate mode. So even if you missed the chaos of 6 damagers or 1 tank and 5 healers, whatever have you, you can still play that if you choose to. That option was there. Church, in Overwatch 2, was there ever a mode that lets you play the old school 2 tank? No, or was it still always like 5v5? It was gone.
There was a mode, it's called like Mayhem or Classic, where you can play no role restrictions, right? You will never get the classic 6v6, right? That's gone.
Okay, that's gone.
Overwatch 2. But you can play as many DPS, tank, or support characters you want to in the arcade version, to get that resemblance. But you can never get the 6v6. So
the classic with an asterisk.
Yeah, exactly.
Like classic role choosing Overwatch 1 day 1, but with the 5v5 limitation of Overwatch 2. Okay, see, that's another thing I like, because Overwatch 1 at least had that freedom. Like, hey man, if you're screaming at us, you don't like the new changes, here you go. That whole mode exists just for you. And other people like Caleb and Ivan, a lot of people played it a lot because it was fun to just dip into the chaos. Like, man, are we gonna go all tanks? Let's go. and with Overwatch 2, the one thing I was looking forward to PvE, because not only was PvE just a face value PvE, there was whole new mechanics. Remember, there was going to be skill trees. Remember, there was going to be skill trees.
Yeah.
Drill. There was going to be power alterations. Like, I remember May, she would have, instead of a single healing iceberg thing, she could turn into a snowball, and you can move it, control it. It would do damage, but it would do less healing. So they were going to implement whole new moves that never existed in any form of Overwatch, that still don't exist to this day. As far as I'm correct, because Church, I know, May doesn't have a snowball move, right?
No, she doesn't.
So they showed us all these moves that just everything new that they were showing me about Overwatch 2 was not available day 1. Was not available day 1. And remember, for people like me, I had just been burned from Halo. I had just been from Battlefield. So when they said it's coming later, I quit. I sunk ship. I'm like, I've heard this before. Here's a leak. We're going to fix it. I'm on this coast, drinking a margarita on the beach, watching Halo ship sink, watching Battlefield ship sink, and now I'm watching Overwatch 2 ship sink. And there's all these people in the water like, we should listen. I'm here at margarita. Like, I ain't helping you. I'm not throwing you lifesaver. I'm just saving my drink. I told you. I was like,
let him die.
I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I said,
you're on the door as Jack is freezing.
Dude,
Put your room up here, but fuck you though.
I'm booting. dude, like again, I said, I was in that battlefield ship. I'm like, man, in that battlefield trailer, they showed that famous scene, that famous move, I mean, you call it video. They recreated that famous video where the guy jumped off a jet, rocket lock under the jet, jumped into his jet. Now, and then when they showed that in the cinematic trailer, I was like, oh man, they might actually be listening to gamers. But then I'm like, no, it's EA. Hold the line. And people are like, no, I'm all in. I'm like, no, they're gonna lie to you. And then and then there's all these other game modes that like I get hyped for. Like I get hyped for apparently an impossible game mode like co-op in Halo Infinite. That never comes. I get hyped for a PvE in Overwatch 2. That never comes. So now it's like every time a hype train gets a little bit above average speed, I'm like, okay, I'm hopping off. I'm gonna hop off. If it derails, I'll be safe. If it doesn't derail, I'll hop on to the next stop. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
that's
exact. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say it's just kind of crazy where we're in an age where like, because like the internet and this like being able to get resources and like document things, like it's a lot more apparent to identify lies. You know what I mean? Like I forgot that Phil Spencer, he pretty much acknowledged that he lied about that Redfall footage. So that was PC footage, and he was saying that was 60 frames per second on a console, and it wasn't. Like he really he acknowledged that he lied like to IGN about it. I was just like, God damn, like, can we trust anyone?
You know? I mean, that trailer,
Nintendo.
I mean, you're exactly right. Add Redfall to the sinking ship. Now, I'd say that's more of a sinking dinghy because it was never in the echelon of Halo and Battlefield, but it's sinking nonetheless. And the other thing with that trailer, Church, is like, man, we should have known that was a lie. That was actual false footage. When we're like, did that guy just say more than 3 lines? Excuse me, this gameplay trailer's been on more than 5 minutes. They didn't have it once mention the bird.
Yeah, a dynamic conversation. That's an extra $5. Like,
is it a raven?
Right, dude, it's so annoying. And then I listened to, or I read the director's blog from the Overwatch team directly today. It was just BS, man. It was BS. There's a bunch of stuff about how, like we originally Overwatch was an MMO game that we had to scale down to a PvP game, and then I was like, it doesn't matter. Like you give me all this context at a point where you've already lied to my face. I don't need the backstory about how you guys got here. It's just like, what did you do, and how did you deceive your consumer? So it was just a bunch of speak about how, the game is going to have player versus enemy content in the game, right? And they're trying to say it's not gone, it's just different. But it's not what we wanted to Arthur's points. It doesn't have skill trees. It's not replayability. It's not this entire campaign, experience that you were going to have to tell stories. And I played Overwatch PvE missions that they have. They had a Halloween event. It's okay, man. It's trash. People do like 2 missions and never come back. Like, oh, that's cool. It's not neat. And so it's going to be throwaway content. Like my perception on this whole situation is they're going to scale down the vision that they have and just release what they can release now. But then once that content's out, are they creating anything new? No, I doubt it. People are quitting. People are uninstalling this game. I think this IP I think it's going to die. I think this has maybe another a year to a year and a half before I die. Like the court following on YouTube, like Flats, Sammy, all these YouTubers that stream the game for like a living. All
the diehards are jumping ship.
Yeah, they're jumping ship. Like they should jump ship. It's a sinking ship. I know they were hoarding out for the PvE content to get an influx of new players so they can continue to make videos, and get that money. But like, bro, nobody cares. Like, it was sinking before Overwatch 2 comes over. It's done now. Only the hardcore PvP players will still play the game. And I don't even know if they should. My stance is they lied to you already. So they're saying the PvP is going to get better now because they have a singular focus. I doubt it, bro. I doubt it, so.
They have a singular focus now a year after launch, after lying. Yeah. That's not called a singular focus. That's called we got receipts. So here's the thing, Church. As again, I'm happy. I'm like, oh man, he's seen the light, man. Don't to be cautious.
I'm out of the cave, man. I'm out of cave, Plato.
out of the cave, man. You've seen the sun, you see the rock. Do you think that after Overwatch 2, I say this knowing the answer. Now, on that curtails, that's a phrase I'm thinking on. I think that's a phrase, curtails, I don't know, of Tears of the Kingdom killing it at launch to this Overwatch 2, another in the bucket of release now, fix later, and or lie, like Halo's cooperative, like Overwatch 2's PvE. Do you think when do you think people will finally see the light of you cannot trust, do not pre-order this release now, fix later idea?
It's not even an idea. That's literally a marketing strategy. That's the new. That's now. That's not even like that's not even an idea. That's literally a business move.
No, I know.
I think what you're getting at,
how many times do we fail? Like
I think you're looking at like when our gamers are going to say the live service model is not for the consumers. Like outside of Destiny 2, that model really hasn't been successful. Like not even maybe for other companies in terms of finance it has, but for the gamers, like has it ever been rewarding outside of Destiny 2? I don't think nothing has delivered on that promise. Like I think that's your question. Is they're going to get to a point or gamers going to wake up and realize the live service is just not good?
Because your live service, live service is synonymous. Well, that's what they bank it off of. Live service is, that kind of corpo speak for we can release now, fix later. But now, what I'm saying with like Halo 2, I keep saying Halo 2, Halo Infinite, and Overwatch 2, thank you, where it's like they're not going to fix later. It's never going to come.
Yeah, it's
which is worse.
Yeah, it's going to get worse, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I don't think Halo Infinite even has co-op now.
No.
They got rid of all the leads at that studio. Anybody thinking that studio is going to perform very well for seasonal content it's misled. They've got rid of all the important players. They're in the process of rebuilding, seeing what they're going to do with the new IP. It's going to be a new Halo game eventually. Same thing with Overwatch. It's going to die, bro. Like,
yeah. And
what was your question, Arthur? I'm trying to answer it. So
that was it. That was exactly like, do you think like how many more AAA major trusted IPs or publishers, developers have to give us this live service lie until we start saying, I'm not trusting this? We've seen a significant drop in pre-orders. We see a significant drop in players at day one launch with, again, falling off the lies. Not like the release now, fix later, but like, release now, lie later of Halo Infinite and Overwatch 2.
We had to put our money where our mouth is. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. My point, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, and I can get into it a little bit later because of PlayStation. I just touch on it. I think PlayStation said they got like 10 new games that they're producing as games of service. Yeah, thank you. So I think they're going to give their shot at it. I think they're going to try to take in that money. And that's the only thing we know in terms of new IPs. So it's going to suck, man, because as soon as they have IPs that gamers care about it, we'll take the chance, just for the sequel to come out, and they'll just fuck us over. Yeah.
Because I feel like with all the examples we've given, it seems like it's a definite thing that live service is just seems to be more negative than positive for the gaming industry at this point, as far as just really under delivering on all these titles. And I feel like in order for us to really, for like the gamers and for the people to really identify where it's just like, no more, we're not pre-ordering. I feel like we really have to put our money where our mouth is. Like it has to go beyond pre-orders. It has to be like unsubscribing to Game Pass and shit like that. Like if they saw numbers drastically reduce by the millions of subscribers and like, shit like that, like that is where there would be a lot of alarming, conversations and potentially a change in how how they decide to work on these games. Because right now, everything is live service based. Everything is, Obviously games are more expensive, but it's like that's not an excuse to make a shitty half-ass game, you know, to patch later. Like, especially if there's no specific honest conversation on a roadmap to fix those things. And it's sad because at one point Halo was doing that, right? Remember, Arthur, where they had a whole list of things that they were planning on patching and fixing or releasing. You know, there's this map, but then at that point, like, another half of the staff left, or the leads were like, okay, this is not it. You know what I mean? So this transparency of what we're seeing, okay, this is what's really going on. You know, I feel like just when it comes to gamers, we just have to put our money where our mouth is and just be like, you know what? Like, that's not going to happen for me. I'm not going to subscribe. I'm not going to renew this month. You know, I'm not, like, for say a whole month. If there's like a protest, you know, like kind of like the writer's strike going on right now. If there's a person with a whole month, millions of people don't subscribe to Game Pass. One whole month. You know how much money Microsoft would lose, you know, or just like a whole month where like Blizzard, like no active players.
I would say Blizzard. I'm like, okay. I'm
just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, or for PlayStation, or for PlayStation, you know what I mean? Like that would speak volumes as far as like, we are tired of this fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it is not acceptable to release half of a game. Like, it's not not everything is a PC. You can't get away with that.
Now,
you know what I mean?
I'll say this, Church. So now that you've walked in the mud, as brave as you did, for as long as you did, for Halo Infinite and Overwatch 2, the next time there's like a competitive, you know, live service type of game coming out, and you start seeing holes in that ship during trailers and right before launch, are you gonna jump on that hype train, the gun that ship, or are you gonna join me in the beach and watch it sink at launch?
I'll probably be on the beach, man. Like,
hey, I'll pour you a drink, my guy.
It'd probably be on the beach. I have to see. Like, EA, I'm skeptical of when it comes to games. But you know, I had a good eye when Gotham Knights. I was really excited for that game, but then I started looking at it. I was like, this doesn't look right. So I didn't buy that game and haven't played it yet. But right now I'm more skeptical. Like, I'm looking for more complete experiences when I get a video game that's like from beginning to end. And I don't know, man. The live service does not work. And I think, you know, we can vote with our pockets and see if that works. But I think it also comes to like video game journalism, you know, whether you're big or small. I think we have to, like, if we see a game with these mechanics, it can't get an 8. It can't be highly recommended. It just be like, yo, they're doing this. We have to like diminish the scores. So then like the mass public don't buy these games. Like, oh, how they review? Oh, it's a D, it's an F. Like, we're not going to buy that game because of these type of mechanics. And just try to get it out of the industry as much as possible. So
I agree with that. Yeah, Jason Schreier, he's kind of been like the golden boy around that, really getting this information out of like, okay, this shit's going on hardcore, you know what I mean? Where gamers need to keep an eye on of like what's really going on. So I definitely agree. And I want you guys to think about, to have this same mindset as we go into these showcases.
Oh no. Oh no.
While that will be a more exciting, happy segment, but I want us to have that same notion, because we have to think about that part of the brain too, right? But before we get into the showcase, I did want to talk briefly about the EU CMA deal for the Activision Blizzard. It did pass earlier this week. And once again, these fucking gamer channels, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people that they've had these videos up on YouTube saying, oh, the Microsoft Activision deal passes. Like, just period. No. But no, that's not accurate. You know, even though the EU CMA deal passed, they still have to go through the FTC. They still have to go through mad other things in order for the deal to officially be, to officially go through. So I've seen a lot of misinformation these past couple weeks. I'm like, no, that's not right. That's not right.
It's not how contracts work, my dude. There's got to be like other people signing it, more than one acronym. Come on.
Because it's because this deal is affecting the whole world, right? So it's affecting the whole world from a business standpoint, and I'm still kind of hung up on when it comes to like the EU, the CMA, how they responded to the deal passing. Like, it was kind of crazy how they were talking about how, we still think this is a bad idea. And they like put this whole thing out on Twitter. Like, they like a tweet like of like all this stuff as far as like they shouldn't have approved it and all this and cloud gaming. And I'm like,
dude, Trill, if you're about to quote the EU CMA and be like, let me read you the Twitter quote, "Oi, bruv." I was gonna lose it.
It's just crazy. Like,
they
right responded.
Now,
Prime Minister.
It's just crazy that the CMA responded on Twitter. I was like, I can't believe that's the form that you want to have. Dude, I was like, it's crazy times we live in, because they're just social media, right? Yeah, and now that's how they conduct business. So
like a European world affecting organization, man. Hashtag I'm mad. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know who to trust as far as like the legitimacy of their concern, right? Because for me, it's like it makes sense as this deal's going through, where certain people will be like, "Hey, we're not going to pass this," when really under the table they're like, "You need to give us a cut." Right, sign a contract, 10 years, XYZ, that we're gonna get paid. Hey, it's passed. Woohoo! You know what I mean? Like as shady as that could presume, it makes sense, right? It's like, hey, this isn't gonna pass until you give us a 10-year deal too. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense, but like, I don't know how legitimately like honest this EU CMA situation as far as like, do they really give a fuck about cloud gaming and have it being like a public utility similar to like how internet like needs to be a public utility? Do they really fucking care about that? You know what I mean? Like, for them to go off this tweet, or do they just want more money? So it's hard to identify the legitimacy of their concern.
My thing is the fact that Disney bought 20th Century Fox. And this is holding things up. Okay, sorry they didn't bribe you as much as the mouse. Okay, like, yeah, I mean, it's like
there's
Disney
mad. You're 100% right.
Disney can buy ESPN, they can buy Marvel, they could buy 20th Century Fox. Nothing.
Yeah, Hulu is
Some some guy that people still thinks is what's the dude? Microsoft founder, man. Bill Gates. Some people's like, the new Bill Gates guy is buying video games. What's a cloud? No, I can't. And they're freaking out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Disney can buy 20th Century Fox. For me, I thought that was going to be a monopoly thing. For one major entertainment entity to buy the other largest entertainment entity in the world, for the number one to buy the number two, I'm like, are we gonna stop this? Are we gonna look into this? No. Okay. Then all of a sudden, Microsoft tries to buy a gaming company, and it's like, everyone just throws up their hands like, okay, we need to investigate this. Yeah. And they're like, that's my thing. It's like
Disney buying Marvel in itself was like, okay, we're just gonna roll with this. Okay. Like, that's kind of like wild, It's like thinking about it, like,
again, it's like Drell said it. Drell said it. For audio listeners, he did kind of a bribey Mr. Burns gesture. So it's like, exactly. So it's like they're thinking like, oh man, if Philly Phil Mr. Spencer, he can front like $68.9 billion. He can throw me a fat stack. Oh no, okay, the CMA's not passing.
Yes, sir. Any lasting thoughts, Church, before we go to the next segment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ludicrous. I don't understand the situation, cloud gaming, but I'm not to the point when it comes to this acquisition. I don't no longer know what's going on. I know the EU approved it. What does that mean for the CMA? I know FTC is coming through. I'm just to the point, like, just let me know if it's coming through or not. Like, we've been talking about this forever in gaming. You know, I just don't know what this means for Microsoft. Can they add games to Game Pass now if, like, the majority of the countries in the world approve this idea, deal, and they just have to get through the FTC and the CMA appeal process? I don't know. There's a lot of misinformation going on. I'm waiting for Phil Spencer to come out and say, like, we are happy to add them to the team, or, like, unfortunately, we're not being able to do this. Like, I just want this to be done already, man. Like, shit.
Exactly. No, I agree. Yeah, because it's funny because it's almost like Microsoft defended like their dissertation because it said like, oh, it's approved with restrictions. Right. Just like, what does that mean? Okay,
I'm cool. Like, everybody gets besides the United Kingdom. I can get behind that.
I know, like
the red coats.
Dude, thank you, Church. I was like, man, we had this argument. It was in somewhere around 1776. I'm thinking.
Exactly.
Like, I know you guys are more ears to the ground, more informed than this, but for a simpleton like me, like, for a simpleton like me, I'm just like, okay, cool. I don't know. These two things are connected. It's just like, we're bailing out banks. Banks are buying other banks. FTC don't care. One group of nerds wants to buy another group of nerds. Hold up. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah. All right, folks. So something that's a little happier and a little makes me giggity as far as just being a gamer and whatnot, and at least something that we can look forward to aside from the left brain, right brain stuff as far as can we trust them? But we have some showcases around the corner. I want to talk about PlayStation first before we go into Summer Game Fest. This is a very important showcase for PlayStation. A very, very important showcase. So just to get the run-of-the-mill date information, May 24th, day after my birthday. 1 p.m. Pacific. The showcase will happen. It's joining on a Wednesday. So that is going down. And yeah, like I said, this showcase is incredibly important to the life of PlayStation, right? So just looking at it from a perspective notion of, we already have this weird, intense situation with Microsoft as far as like, hey, Starfield around the corner. We have to wait for that showcase, that conference for that, them showing Starfield for an extensive period of time. Hopefully that goes well. But in the meantime, PlayStation, hey, what's on the side of the fence? What's going on with you guys? There's a few games that I kind of want us to just kind of pick each other's brains on what they think what are they going to announce that'll be beneficial, or that'll come out for the console, or that'll be around the corner, just things that they will announce in general. But given that PlayStation has been absent, right, for the past few E3s, regardless of COVID, just in general haven't been present. We've had these state of plays of a game or two to release, which has been positive, but a showcase of multiple titles. We had one state of play where they had multiple titles. I will say a quarter of them have been indie, but this is important for PlayStation, and then this is also important for Jim Ryan. We all, as I know, Arthur shares the sentiment of like, fuck Jim Ryan, even though he's doing well financially as far as like with the numbers on the books, so he still has his job. But a showcase like this is nice because what else to the customer that's going to be an interest to them that they're going to want to buy more of your games in the future. So what do you guys think is going to be showcased for PlayStation for this, or what they need to show? So what would you like for them to show, and what do they need to show? Let me start with you, Church.
Well, can I hijack your question, Joe? I think it might be fun if we go around real quick before we get to your question. It's like, what do you think? What game are they going to open with?
Okay.
Like, what do you think they're going to open with?
I say Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I have, even though it's been across consoles, I've kind of linked this towards PlayStation because it's been marketed with PlayStation. And I know they have I would argue they have a very significant player base for this game over there compared more than Xbox. I have no facts to bring that up. I just have feels of that. On the curtail, I keep saying the word on the Drill. What's the word I'm thinking of? Coattails.
Coattails.
Okay,
Coattails.
I forgot. Coats have tails. I thought coats did. On the coattails is the word I was looking for. Thank you, Drill. Very educated man. Of this teaser, I think if they open with Mortal Kombat for the showcase, I think that would be good. Because again, and though Mortal Kombat has not been exclusive, it's been marketed really well towards Sony. I just, again, even though it's not exclusive, I internally kind of link Mortal Kombat, at least the last two, to Sony. And remember, PlayStation owns Evo now. Now, I'm not saying that's linked to the showcase. I'm just saying why I feel like, other than Killer Instinct and a few other things, with Street Fighter 5, now Street Fighter 6, doing its thing, but Street Fighter 5 was Sony exclusive. The fighting game community, outside looking in, I feel like has been quietly, or I feel like over slowly kind of switching toward going towards Sony, especially with the purchase of Evo. I think, again, with the teaser just being dropped, I think them opening with more Mortal Kombat, I would like to see.
Okay, Drew, I'm with you. I think Spider-Man 2 is what they're going to open up with too, as well.
Yeah,
I think that's just like a solid bet. Just like, hey, this is something we're coming in 2021. What was your question again, Drew? So I can.
So what are they? Basically, some games that you think they're going
they need to show, or we want to see.
Yeah, that we want to see, or that they need to show. Spider-Man is a need, right? They need to put this out there. They need to get, you know what I mean? This is a PlayStation exclusive, so they need to market it as such. We haven't really seen anything of it besides that video that came out a couple of years ago from that conference. But from as we know from prior history, that doesn't mean shit, right? It's like, okay, give us a refresh. What are we really expecting here besides this cool cinematic? So I would say, from a gameplay perspective, we need to see gameplay to some degree for Spider-Man 2. So I think we're gonna be seeing that. I've been hearing I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I've been hearing rumbles, and I don't know if this is gonna actually be a thing. Hearing rumbles that they're gonna be announcing The Last of Us multiplayer.
Well, they've already did that, right? It's called Fractions, right?
Yeah, but to a detailed degree. I don't know if they've done that to a detailed degree.
Like more a deep dive?
Yeah.
I think I think it's a good time. So to answer your question, let me start with this. I'm very excited for the showcase for PlayStation. I've had a nitpicky thing with PlayStation since like 2020 when it comes to the showcases or the announcement, because we've just been hearing about the sequels. And I knew the sequels were going to come and they're going to get delivered on. And we finally got the sequels we were promised. Horizon, God of War, whatever. And Spider-Man's coming out more than likely this year. So for me, this showcase needs to show the second half of this console's life of what is to come from PlayStation. And maybe there's not time for a deep dive. So I'm expecting Spider-Man 2, they have to show that, right?
You mute yourself.
Well,
There you go. We can hear you now.
Did I mute myself? Can you hear me again? Sorry, my bad.
There you go.
The button.
Yeah, so Spider-Man 2, they definitely have to show. I think Last of Us Fractions, it's been rumored. I think they need to ride that from the success of the TV show and just announce that. It's probably going to be a live service game, but we'll see if PlayStation does it better. Wolverine, right? We got teased that a couple years ago. So, and it's also from Insomniac. Now, people think they should just focus on Spider-Man 2 on the internet, but no, show Wolverine. Let people know that's alive. I feel the message for me is more show of what's to come, right? And in the next 2 to 3 years. What are we getting from Sucker Punch, the people that make Ghost of Tsushima, right? Are we getting a new IP? Are we getting Ghost of Tsushima 2? I think you need to show that. I think we will get a preview of Ghost of Tsushima 2 in this game.
Yeah.
Showcase. I think we'll get a preview of the next Ratchet and Clank game as well, coming from the team of Insomniac. I think Insomniac's going to have a major presence from Spider-Man, Ratchet, and Wolverine as well coming to it. What else?
Console refresh. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
I need a
right?
smaller
So-
PS5. Give me a smaller PS5.
No, give me the Pro. Give me the Pro.
Well, yeah, give me a Pro small PS5. I can't deal with this fucking bookcase.
Dude, they should come out with a PS5 PS, the PS5 Pro Slim.
Right.
I need it.
Arthur, go ahead, take it away. I do have a list. I don't want to list every game that I think they're going to show without you giving it a chance. There's a lot of rumors going on. What do you think, man?
Well, again, I'm on the outside looking in. I don't have the most ears to the ground with Sony just because I don't have a console, so I'm not as giddy. I'm not so much for sure of individual games. Real quick, Church. I think you were half incorrect there. You said they're going to release Factions, The Last of Us multiplayer off the success of the show. I don't think that's exactly correct. I think they're going to release Factions off the success of the Last of Us Part 1 remake on PC. A lot of people were happy about that. I think a lot of people were happy for the bugs. But sorry. I just remember that launch was funny. But
fucking Arthur.
I'm sorry I'm reminding people that game existed. You want to have Joel to have a face? That's not how the PC port works.
Answer Church's question. He's so good.
What do you want to see, buddy?
Well, like I said, I don't know what games. I'm just kind of thinking other services or things. Like, dude, they like a PlayStation 5 costs $500. How much does a PlayStation VR 2 cost again? How much have you seen of that?
600.
We're gonna see more VR2 games, by the way.
Do you think VR2 is going to have a big presence at the showcase?
30%. 30% of the show is going to be VR games.
Okay, next question. Next question. The Church has mentioned, a great word that Sony hasn't heard of in a while. New IP. Do you think PlayStation VR 2 is going to have announced new ports or actual new games to make it worth $600?
I think we'll get. I think they're going to take some of the main IPs and do a VR experience. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a Spider-Man VR experience they have been working on too as well, or just anything new. So maybe what do they do at VR? God of War, type of gameplay. I mean, that seems kind of cool.
I would love the God of War VR for the opening in the original God of War. I would love that VR. I'm just saying. Masho, get some orbs. Let's go.
You crazy, bro.
I'm sorry.
You crazy. I'm right there with you, bro. I'm shamelessly right there with you.
I'm just saying. I thought I was about to, congratulate Sony on one of the best openings to a gaming in the history of gaming. But okay,
my bad, man. I'm with you, man. Day one, I'm gonna get the VR too. If that's a game, you know what I'm playing. If I miss a podcast, you know where I'm at, man.
Okay.
I digress.
Sorry, Jarrell. I was listening to the last episode, or you were going off on this one Succubus game, and it's got me reminiscing.
So you've played it?
No,
I bought it.
But another
multiple copies.
Good copies. Support.
40 hours in. Let's say again, because I can't really speak to a lot of games other than whatever I heard of Final Fantasy 15, things like that. Another thing I was questioning is, again, for value and service, do you think we're going to start seeing more day one PlayStation Plus games?
That's a good question. I hope so. I think PlayStation needs to deliver new IP, and if they can focus on the service aspect, you took away the collection. If you can give me more day one releases, big wins, just big wins all around. If Spider-Man 2 is day one release on PS5 Essentials, like for the PlayStation Plus service, it's really cool. And it shows that they're here to compete against Microsoft. I think that's a win for everyone. Now, do I think PlayStation would do that? It depends on the IP, not any of the first party IP.
Yeah.
What's Kojima? Death Stranding 2. You think it's going to be there?
Gameplay, probably.
Gameplay, dang. Okay.
Kojima won't be there, but.
because this one's next. Because as we're recording this next week. Drill knows. Like now, say what you want about the last year of Xbox, which is now we even had discussions about the future of Phil Spencer, the man who saved Xbox. Very accurate, but Drill knows. Like my favorite parts of any Xbox conference is like when they're just playing, when they show Game Pass day one, like they're just like they just have DJ Khaled on call, like day one Game Pass, another one. Day one Game Pass, another one. It's like that was just, it was so fun to watch E3 and be like, Drill knows. It was so fun to watch E3 and be like, look at this game I don't have to pay for. Look at this game I don't have to pay for. So
yeah,
I know Sony, like I know I was, saying fairly that that Sony will never truly match, face to face, equal value, the value of Game Pass. But I'll say this, the last thing I'll end with, Sony has absolutely the opportunity to win the conference this year. Nintendo killed it with Tears of the Kingdom. So unless their conference drops a surprising shocker of crazy DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, there's not too much that can make them really win the conference. And Xbox is just trying to put out their fires. Sony has the opportunity to run away with it this year.
How do you think they will run away with it? What games do they have? Like, what can they do to win the conference? At the end of the day.
Well, that's the other thing. The bar set so low. Xbox is trying to put out fires. Nintendo is riding this massive wave that is Tears of the Kingdom. But in terms of for the conference, it's about what's new. I think Nintendo can maybe show like some more of that Metro game people have been waiting for. I don't know what else can be like, well, bam, drop the mic. But
so let's take it back to PlayStation. Like, I think that's why the bar is set so high, because we got the sequels already, right? The new has to be impressive, right? It has to be fun. And I think that's what's scary, because it's a new IP.
The range is lower. Like you are correct with the high, but I would argue the kind of overall range is like, boop. Like that's what I mean, because
comparatively, I see what you mean, Arthur.
Because again, as an Xbox fan, I'm just coming to this like, again, hey, you good, Phil? Like, what's up? With Sony, Spider-Man 2 is a big one. I don't think we will, but the game, I know we won't. But the game that almost made me stop what I'm doing and buy a PS5, Knights of the Republic remake. I know we won't.
Which is in development hell.
It's in development hell.
Yeah.
So, that's the kind of double-edged sword. Like collectively as an industry, the bar is kind of lowered. Nintendo's the asterisk because their bar is only lowered because they just crushed it. Whereas again, with Sony and Xbox, they've always been the main competitors. Nintendo's been always doing its own thing. Sony, high bar or not, does have the opportunity to blow Xbox out.
So let me ask a few questions. So we open with Spider-Man 2, right? Kojima's presence. We think Death Stranding 2 is going to be the gameplay. Fire. The rumor Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. You think that's coming from Bluepoint? Like,
that's the thing. That's definitely been a huge rumor. God damn it. I don't know. I think it's bullshit. I don't think it's gonna happen.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I have another game they might show. It's not gonna be exclusive, but it's their IP. It's their baby. Armored Core 6. Armored Core has been a Sony staple since the PS2. I don't know how much they're gonna do of more gameplay, but that's just one thing I thought of. That was my epiphany of like, oh yeah, Armored Core is doing its thing. Armored Core is a Sony IP.
Yeah, I think it could be though. It could be a trailer.
It could be either way, right? Because From Software has established such a powerful presence where they could just release something later, and the game could perform just as well. You know what I mean?
I put that gameplay on Jeff's show. To be honest, there's been a lot of reviews on the From Software camp because of Jeff. So I think the Armored Core 6 gameplay review would be on Jeff's show more than the PlayStation. I think it would be on Xbox's showcase just because it's afterwards. What else? I don't think we get Mortal Kombat gameplay, Arthur. I think they've been pushing Tekken 8 from PlayStation more than anything.
Grandfather of Drip.
Yeah, the grandfather of Drip. I think we get Tekken 8 push heavily during the showcase. Maybe even Street Fighter 6 just because of the Evo. This is where fighters live, type of conversation.
Right.
Other than that, they had this game called, what was it called? Stellar Blade. It was some Asian chick fighting like
Weeaboo.
Yeah, it looks like some DMC Devil May Cry type of game. It looks fun to play, but it doesn't seem all that interesting in terms of like story development. Let's see what else I got here going on. Oh, I think it was do we see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the sequel to the remake that came out in 2020?
I could see that.
I think so too.
I think it's plausible.
I thought that was already out. My bad.
Dang, bro. Okay.
Because didn't we get gameplay of it? Didn't we get gameplay of it? The last thing.
We saw like a trailer for it. Yeah,
okay.
We did, and it was rumored to come out winter of 2023, right? So, it could come out December, like top of the year in 2024. It's very possible. So
I forgot Square Enix likes to take their time with Final Fantasy stuff. And by take their time, I mean be like, we don't want to make this.
See, I think the beauty with PlayStation, it's kind of like a beauty and annoyance at the same time, is that, under Jim Ryan's leadership, there hasn't been a deep dive experimentation with like going back to remake like titles that we hold so dear from the PS2 days. He's been very hell-bent on blockbusters, so obviously either he's going to remake all the blockbustery things that are, such as Last of Us or whatnot, doing a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima 2. Like, these are things that'll fly off the shelves. But as far as for games where, like, there's a really fun niche and something that definitely will appeal to some demographic of PlayStation players, that is something he's yet to dive into. Now, I think if there's a point of desperation, if you will, say if VR2 doesn't perform as well as he thinks, because he said something in an article, it's like, oh, it's too early to determine. I'm like, okay, it's not going to be that early if you see sales drop and how much money you guys put in that fucking headset. But there's going to be a point where he's almost going to be forced into experimenting with, hey, what if we did a remake to this game way back when? You know what I mean? I feel like they have the capability of diving into that, and presenting it. So I think that's the beauty of PlayStation. Like, I would love to see a Siphon Filter remake announcement during this conference.
Yeah.
I would freak out because that was one of my favorite espionage, just like third-person action fighting shooting games. I would love that. That's one of the first. That's one of the few games that made me fall in love with the PlayStation 1. But yeah, so that's the thing. I know he's avoiding it. Jim Ryan does not want to do that. That's not of an interest of his. But if he looks at his numbers and they're declining, he may want to have a chat. With Naughty Dog. Hey, Jack and Daxter, let's remake it. You know what I mean? Like, I can see something happen like that in the future.
That was one thing. That was one thing I was going to address. I know it's not synonymous with Sony because a ton of people have been open like this sucks working with them. But you're talking about blockbuster games. Church was talking about new IPs. Something that I love. I would say niche, but it's increasingly becoming more of a norm now that AAA games are just dropping the ball on a large scale, not exclusively Sony. Indie. I love seeing what indie has to offer. I know we don't see a lot of it at Sony conferences, so I don't have hope we'll see it, but again, for like, Drell, saying now it might not be a Sony first party title in terms of experimentation. Yeah. Church, it won't be, a Sony first party title with IPs, but again, that's my fallback for lost stuff of my last leg of hope for any conference is like what's Sony bringing? What's Indie bringing to the table? Because like for Xbox, Indie brought them Tunic, another award-winning games.
Yeah,
I think new IPs. I think we get Spider-Man, Wolverine, Death Stranding 2. I think the Metal Gear Solid rumor is true, but it's not the third game. I think it's the first game.
Oh, gee, Drell's favorite.
What?
Also, real quick, Church. Sounds like you're a little far from the mic.
Ooh, Daddy.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I think it's the first game.
That would be
bro.
amazing.
Right. I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid, or not?
Yeah,
the first
that's my
Metal
favorite game on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, man.
Psycho Mantis.
Bro,
It's on the back of the CD case.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Drill, can you imagine you get to the part where you have to like look at the back of the case, but it's just the back of your credit card? Like what?
Bro. I just.
Oh man!
So
I would be like, you motherfuckers! Now I have to buy the console.
I'm just saying, I don't know how they're gonna do that.
I think it's gonna be, Metal Gear Solid 1. I think it's gonna be fire.
Crazy.
I think we're gonna get. It's time for Capcom to announce a new Monster Hunter game.
Is it though?
It is. They release a game and then they have 1 year of DLC. And then they announced another game. That's the cycle. And that's what happened with Rise. Rise came out. They did 1 year of DLC and they even ported. So I think Monster Hunter World 2 will be showcased, announced at this time. It's just, that's what this Capcom does. And
I will say this. If there's anything Monster Hunter and Game Pass has spoiled me for, it better be on Game Pass. Because that's how I got into Monster Hunter World. That's how I got into Monster Hunter Rise. And I'm like, ooh, this is fun.
Dude, if Phil Spencer smart, that would be day one Game Pass Monster Hunter. It's just, I'll be there, bro. I think that game is going to show. What else could they do? Hail Mary here would be my pick. Is no, for some reason, maybe because I just wanted God of War DLC. I think Sony has this pattern, and they haven't done it for God of War yet. Is they released?
That was my thinking face. You've learned my faces. They're very
I know. They haven't done it for God of War yet, but they released the game, and then about a year later they announced DLC. They did it for Horizon. They did a Ghost of Tsushima. So I'm thinking, since it's a new director for God of War, and the game itself just had so many different realms to explore, you could add DLC to Ragnarok at that point. So I think that would be a wild thing to have, to go back there. That'd be my Hail Mary at the showcase right there. So
nice.
Is David Gaffey still part with the God of War team with Ragnarok, or is he just kind of on as an advisor now?
So he's been gone since God of War 1.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So it's been the guy who's like the star. Where there was Corey Barlog, who did God of War 2 and 3, and they came back for the 2018 remake.
Okay.
So that's my Hail Mary right there. I don't know about any. I know Sony bought or did a partnership with Bungie.
They bought them.
Bought them. But Bungie had a new IP. Is Bungie gonna show something like? Soon?
They were very upfront that they bought Sony for, Joel, what was the phrasing? Like multimedia purposes?
Yeah, so we might see a movie or some shit.
Yeah, a movie or a show. Like there was just it was like I forget the exact phrasing of like multi-entertainment purposes, multimedia purposes, Hollywood. They want to go Hollywood with that with Destiny. Yeah. I like I said, for Sony, I'm not gonna watch it live. Sorry. It's Wednesday. I work.
I'm gonna try to watch it live. I'm gonna try.
I'll try to figure it out. The Sony one I can do. It's Summer's Game Fest that might be a little challenging. And Summer Game Fest is going to be June 8th. And there's more than 40 partners to take part in the Summer Game Fest activities as well. We're seeing a lot of partners here, guys. I'm curious to get your thoughts on what you think is going to be announced potentially on Summer Game Fest. There's got to be something cooking that Jeff is really excited to have under his show that will be announced.
I gotta say something as an Xbox guy. I'm looking forward more to the Summer Game Fest and Xbox Showcase.
Is there anything in particular that you think is that it's kind of pushing that one for you?
Not Starfield.
Oh God!
I just feel like here's what I mean.
Starfield has its separate showcase.
Here's what I think. Okay, here's another thing. Here's another thing for me. Not just that. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Joel, but this is still like in person, right?
Yeah, it's at the Microsoft Theater in downtown LA.
Yeah, like this is the only true real event for me. Everything else is more like, hey, do you want to watch this live video or do you want to watch a live event? Like, I mean, again, this is like semantics, whatever, but I feel like this is the only one that's truly an event. Now, why I still watch it live? No, again, because of my schedule, but I'm looking forward to it.
From a game perspective, though, is there anything you think that or it's kind of pulling you of interest?
Well, that's the thing. It's less of a game thing. It's like that's the thing. And no, again,
it's just niche, the event in general.
Again, yeah, exactly. Niche, okay. Like a niche. I feel like if I'm in the niche of this, that's want to be the first time. So it's not like. So in terms of games, I am interested in more games being revealed at the Xbox Showcase. State of Decay 3, Avowed, Cyberpunk DLC. Other things like that, but as a whole, I'm just getting more hyped and more excited for anything that Jeff touches nowadays.
Okay.
And Jeff, we trust, man. Like, Jeff, you're only a hope. I mean, like I said, E3, like we were talking about, like E3 is dead. Like this is showcase. It's like these aren't. This isn't E3. This is showcase. This is just showcase season. And again, that's more for an event overall. I'm just curious to more of what Jeff has to do, what Jeff's going to do, step up for the hole that E3 left, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
To see what he does with it. So as I said, games. I'm looking forward to what games Xbox has to show me that I want to see, like Hades 2, Hollow Knight 2, things like that. But I'm just curious to see. I just want to see another win under Jeff's belt.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say really quick. I mean, it's already a win as far as him having an entire platform separate from E3.
Yeah.
To have gamers watch, because I think what was it, over 40,000? It could be even more. People watched last year's Game Fest. It was like really high numbers of viewership. So it already was a win as far as for him having that event for Summer Game Fest. And obviously, the Game Awards, I think, did well as also.
Reminder, last year had a ton of announcements and a ton of updates. Like had a lot of reveal trailers, either reveal cinematics or reveal gameplay.
Yeah.
Summer Game Fest, so there were games that had cinematic trailers, other showcases, other events, or other state of plays, whatever. But last year's Summer Game Fest was the reveal of a lot of gameplay. For example, Church, I'm curious to see, if we don't get more, I mean, we should. If we don't get more gameplay at this is not the best example because it's first party. More gameplay of Flintlock Siege, now World War I. Witchcraft-esque game. If we don't get gameplay there, I feel like, and again, Summer Game Fest would be another spot for that gameplay, for stuff like that. Cinematic trailers. You want gameplay. Just you might get it. If you don't get it during the other showcase, you might get it at Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, I think Jeff is in an interesting spot. I'm happy for him, and I think it's a win already. I think Flint will be at that showcase. For some reason, here's how I have it played out. I think PlayStation and Sony and Microsoft and Sony are going to focus on their first party studio games. That makes me ultra curious about, I'm really curious about what Ubisoft is doing. We haven't had an Assassin's Creed game in a long time. I think that finds a home at Jeff's place. Unless Microsoft's coming over here and adding Ubisoft Plus to Game Pass, I don't see Ubisoft having a presence anywhere else in the show.
And that's the case for a lot of third party developers too.
Yeah, but Ubisoft is one of the biggest in the world. It's big. I want to know what they're doing next. Assassin's Creed was annually, and we haven't had that in a long time. So I think that's going to show at Jeff showcase as well of any other new projects they have.
They do have a Ubisoft Forward really quick on June 12th. So we're probably going to see more of what's that X game? It's like a Rainbow Six game, but it's called X Clan or some shit. I forgot.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
We're going to hear more about that. But definitely, I agree. Yeah, but they do have their own showcase. I'm curious to see. Just give me Splinter Cell, guys. You guys can go home. Just give me Splinter. Just
To
give
be
me
also
Splinter
simple.
Cell.
Splinter Cell was a reference in Division 2.
Right. And then we have EA. EA is going to find a home at Jeff. Excited to see new games outside of sports that EA could potentially present.
Where's Dragon Age?
Dragon Age would be cool.
It's in development hell as well.
Yeah.
in their own company.
Same thing with Mass Effect. Who has that game?
Oh,
Was that that's that game they announced that already too?
Oh yeah.
I'm not holding my breath on that, dude.
Right. And then It Takes Two. I don't know if you guys played that game. Fun game.
I beat it. It Takes Two. Yeah.
Yeah. To make a sequel to the game, It Takes Three.
Game of the it was game of the year, or was it COVID? Either 2020, 2021.
I don't know if that guy believes in sequels. Does he believe in sequels, Arthur?
He has
sequels.
I know what
does he like money?
I know what he believes about the Oscars.
Because I've never seen a sequel from him. I know he likes doing.
He does.
He's like Tarantino.
It's funny. He has a lot of like two themes. He has a lot of games that involve like two, but never a true sequel. Like Tales of the Brotherhood and his two brothers. It Takes Two. I forget the game that was like that prison game, and you get to play the two guys. That was him, right?
Yeah, it was him too.
Yeah. So he has like I said, he's a very like a theme of two going.
Where there's two people involved,
but never truly a sequel. Yeah. Now that being said, if you know it's a new game, kind of like a carpenter. Hey, show me the tables you like. Those are some nice tables. I'll be hyped for your next table.
Right.
So, sorry. I was gonna say really quick. The one thing about Summer Game Fest that is interesting, and it's probably why Jeff's probably getting a lot of sponsorship money, is that the 40 companies or whatever you want to call them, conglomerates, all that shit, that are a part of Summer Game Fest. You're gonna see a lot of niche things announced within the diaspora of Summer Game Fest. So that could be a good and bad thing, right? So, or not a bad thing, but just something that we might not be entirely interested in.
Different thing.
So, for example, Amazon Games is part of Games Fest. Is part of the Game Fest. They might talk about that game that they might spend millions of dollars on, Arthur. That
$500 million budget.
The folks that worked on Pokemon Go, Niantic, they might announce a new cell phone game that probably be announced during the Summer Game Fest. You have Annapurna, which makes some really dope like horror games. Are gonna be there. Steam is gonna be there. They might announce something additional for the Steam, the handheld. I forgot the name of it.
Deck.
The Steam Deck. Thank you. CD Projekt's gonna be there, so we may hear more about the DLC of the
Sons of Liberty or something.
Your Cyberpunk DLC you have on your card. Gearbox is supposed to be there as well. I don't know. I haven't been a fan of Gearbox in quite some time since did they work on Borderlands, Arthur?
Yeah, that's like all they do.
Yeah,
that's like all they do.
That's it was on Borderlands. I'm like, well, why are you talking to me? So Warner Brothers part of it. So maybe potentially we may hear something around Batman or what have you.
Probably their Gollum game.
Yeah, Bandai Namco.
The 4090 you need.
Sega. What's funny? Super side note. I apologize for this in advance. Sega was like, because of the Sonic movies, I think we can raise our games to $70. That's what they said. I'm like, you guys are Sega.
That's crazy, man.
No.
They're letting the nuts hang, bro. Like,
I'm like, don't do that. That's the worst thing to do. You're not Nintendo. You're not releasing a Tears of the Kingdom. Do not raise your game to $70. Nobody would buy them. So, but do we want to talk really quick about the Xbox showcase? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of pressure in that department as far as for Starfield. What are they actually going to fucking show us, right? What are your thoughts on the Xbox showcase, Arthur, for what you would like to see? And maybe, just
so what I'm going to do, what I'd like to see, and what
what they need to show.
I know is going to happen. Yeah. Well, I'd like to see State of K3. I would like to see more of Avowed. I would like to see Outer Worlds 2. I like to see updates on Perfect Dark Remake. I would like to see what's up with this passion project with Kojima. I would like to see more Game Pass Day One exclusives, more indie. Now, one thing I can tell you, I know it's going to happen. I'm going to boo Todd Howard the second he walks on stage.
He'll have your favorite leather jacket on with a spandex under it.
This guy. But yeah. So, trying to think what else. Like I said, Hollow Knight 2, Hades 2.
You want everything under the Xbox Awards, huh?
Well, mind you, a lot of things I'm listing are indie. State of Decay, and now these are for me. These because this is the thing about Xbox. It's like this hybrid indie but first party, because even though it's an Xbox first party published game, Undead Labs make State of Decay, and then other smaller developers make Hades 2. Other teams make Hollow Knight 2. Church, what's the name? Swan Song, something like that. Hollow Knight 2. Yeah.
Team Cherry. Sorry, Team Cherry.
No, the name of it. It's like not actually Hollow Knight. Silk Song. Thank you. I knew it was like a S song. So I doubt we'll get it. Maybe an update on Gears. I would love to have Dave Bautista just drop that mic. But like I said, I'm more of the category of indie. I'm more of like the sequels of my indie games, and then for new IPs, games you've heard been teased, which would be Outer Worlds 2, and then Avowed, of course, with Obsidian.
Okay. And then I guess it's kind of like an overall. I know there's the PC game show as well. Supposedly 16 games are going to be announced.
Well, I have my thoughts on Xbox.
Oh, no. I know. I was going to get to that. But I was going to say overall, we'll start with Church. Xbox, what do you think they need to do, and is anything above that?
I'll do for PC real quick. I have no expectation for PC. Console race superior every day. Like, I have no expectations.
I respect that.
PC is going to get a bunch of old PlayStation games finally,
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So Horizon Forbidden West is coming soon, so keep looking out for that.
We got Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah, exactly. So for Xbox, real quick, what I want to look is doubling down on the next 12 months of what I'm actually going to get. I want a list of what's as a service, what games I want to get in the next 12 months. And what I want to see in that is an aggressive approach to Game Pass, day one's exclusives. I hope it's Monster Hunter World 2. If that's announced, secure that. Secure Armored Core 6. I also think Hades 2 will be a day one release on Game Pass, just because I think Microsoft gave them money to make a sequel. The studio doesn't usually make sequel. It's the first time they do a sequel. I think they have some partnership, just a gut feeling. Other than that, I want to update on Stalker 2, Hellblade 2, gameplay of Avowed. If you sure, that's what I want to see. I want to know what that game is, because I don't know what that game is. The people are hyped for no fucking reason, in my opinion. I don't
they
care
make
about
good tables, okay?
Okay, whatever.
Obsidian makes good tables.
I want to see Indiana Jones. I do not want to see maybe Fable if it's ready. I do not want to see what's the other game they had going on? I can't even think about it right now. So
Elder Scrolls 6?
No, Elder Scrolls 6. We don't need to see that. Game is too far away. Don't announce that. Don't show me that.
I'm trying to guess.
Damn, it was another Bethesda game. Anyway. Yeah, Starfield's fine. I got a whole showcase. I think they should do a deep dive in Starfield. Yeah. They need to sell that.
No, I'm just trying to think what else Bethesda's making that's on your palette there.
I'm thinking of something id Studios, Machine Gun Studios.
I don't think.
Oh.
Does it have anything else in the works?
No.
They should be working on the next Doom, but
Doom or something. I don't know. I think the Coalition is going to do a package for Gears, and hopefully another IP, a new IP is what I hope. So I think we get Gears package and a new IP and I think that's about it. That's what I would want from him, and I think they will
cool. We got
deliver.
Bulletstorm remake on Game Pass.
Right.
Speaking of Coalition, Bulletstorm remake on Game Pass would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think that's what they would deliver on. Yeah. So, other than that, I'm chilling on Xbox. So
nice.
It just works. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? This is the year just before we wrap up the show, as far as just how Microsoft is like the lowest of like what we're looking forward to. I feel like half of it is just like this. They need to nail this Starfield presentation. And it needs to be gameplay. It needs to be confirmed that's actually on the console ran. It's not PC shit. It needs to look pretty good. We can't have another Halo Infinite situation where they look at it and say, "Oh shit, push it back," because they pushed it back. They pushed back Starfield too many times. A lot of pressure. So, and then hearing what Phil Spencer has to say, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot running on that. We'll probably see the next Forza. Who the fuck cares?
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like, we always see, like, oh my god, cool driving, pretty.
I will say this. I want to say just under I want to say 50 hours in the Forza Horizon. Surprisingly fun. Now, again, I will say I only tried it because it was on Game Pass, but I will say if you want to give Forza a try in terms of a racing game that surprisingly hooks you in the second you start the game, had a pretty good start. But again, one of those games in that category where it's definitely one of those games where you're only going to try it because it's on Game Pass.
Right. All right, folks. Well, I think that's it here for the Gamers Flight podcast. I know we went through a lot of stuff here, but of course, I always like to thank my co-host for holding down the line, and hopefully some of the things that we announced that we want to see, that they get announced in way, shape, or form. So, of course, thank you, Arthur, and thank you, Church.
Always a pleasure.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, that's going to wrap it up here at Gamers Flight podcast. Each and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, discussing all things games. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.